Good morning, Surrey Chapel. It's the 26th of May. Here is an update on some of the things that we are thinking for the future. Three things really to bring to your attention. If you were at the prayer meeting on Sunday night, then you'll have already heard some of this. But the first thing is, at the moment, we are not planning to meet centrally until maybe about the start of September. I know the government is saying that actually you can start thinking about going back to being together from the 5th of July. Now, there are some real complications about what it would mean for us as a church to meet and socially distance and have a wide range of ages and people together. I'm aware there'll be some people shielding who would not even consider being amongst us. There are others of us who would consider and want to be amongst us. But just imagine it, just to think through some of the things we'd have to think about. In a building of 280, we could probably fit about 60 or 70 seats in there. Then we would have to think about having areas where a family can sit and some other people on their own can sit. There'll be real challenges around what we do with children. I don't think we'd be able to run Young Church from the start of July, and so it would have to be an all-age service. And at that point, then you're going to have families trying to herd their children from going and sitting on other people's laps. It's challenging. That is really challenging. We probably wouldn't be able to sing in the same way, because just like coughing, that is one of the ways that the disease transmits, COVID-19. So there is lots of complications. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't cross that bridge when we need to come to it, but we're just going to give ourselves a little bit of space. We are planning on things to continue as they are at the moment until the start of September. We will be reviewing things at the start of July as more information comes out, and we will keep being in touch with you as we think about the future. But just to say, if any of you own a massive field that is accessible by cars, let us know. Or maybe you own a massive car park, get in touch. Right, there's the first thing. The second thing to say is that we are trying to make the most of the time as the sort of midweek activities are not going on, and there's a little bit more space for us as a church family. There's some infrastructure projects that we are looking at. So you'll know that we're refreshing up the main hall with some painting, and once that is all finished, we'll do a video tour so that we can show you what's going on. We're also looking at freshening up downstairs in the foyer. We are in the process of getting people to come in and help us both with the audio and the visual in the church. So when we go back, we will be able to put some form of live streaming, and we're doing some hard work on that. There'll also be a new website that will be up and running pretty soon. There's also another big project which we are trying to look at. It's one of those things that, again, we've just put off because ministry life has been busy. But as a charity, we want to change our charity status to becoming a CIO. Now, there's lots of things that I could go through to explain what that means. It may be you want to get in touch with us. But basically, it protects our trustees. It limits the liabilities of the charity. It's something that the FIC, the network of churches we are part of, is encouraging all the churches to do. And we're thinking this is an opportunity to push ahead with it. Basically, if something awful was to happen in the church and we were to be taken to court and sued, the way our charity is set up at the moment is first they would strip the church of all the assets, and then the trustees' properties, their homes would be on the line, and becoming a CIO limits the liability. So it means that our church assets would be up, but actually the trustees would be protected in a way they are not now. So that's a bit horrible, isn't it, thinking about that sort of stuff? But it is a wise thing to do, but it's not a cheap thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's not a cheap thing to do. And so that means that we are having to think about some other things that are connected with becoming a CIO. Now, one of the things is, and this is the third thing, do we change the name of Surrey Chapel? Now, I know this is a question that has been bounced around in the past, but as you become a CIO, that would be the opportunity to change the name, because becoming a CIO is not cheap. and if we were going to revisit the name question in a few years' time, then actually it would, it saves lots of expense if we do it now. Now, it's not the only reason we're thinking about a change of name. Actually, we do want to think about that question as we think about what it means for Surrey Chapel here today to reach people with the gospel. Now, you may know the Surrey Chapel has had 3 names in its history. The first name was the Bazaar Chapel. I'm very up for going back to that name. After that, it was known as Ebenezer Chapel at Surrey Street, and then slowly that became shortened to be called Surrey Chapel, which is what we are known as today. Now, obviously, we are nowhere near Surrey Street anymore. We're on Bottoff Street. We've been there for 30 years plus, and the name doesn't make a lot of sense for where we are. Now, what we'd love you to do is this. We'd love you to go and talk to a neighbour, someone you know who is not a Christian, maybe a few neighbours, or it may be a friend, and say, have you heard, 1, have you heard of Surrey Chapel? 2, what does the name make you think of? Now, that is a different question to what do you think of the name? Because what do you think of the name is what do you think of the name, but actually this is what does the name make you think of? As you hear Surrey Chapel, what does it make you think of? I think that's a really interesting question. And the third thing is, don't ask them this, but in your head, work out roughly what is their age bracket. Now, could you do that? And could you send what you find by email to the office, to Claire at the office? And could you do that maybe by, I don't know, a week on Friday? So what is that? Is that like the 6th? The 6th of June, something like that. It would be really helpful for us to do a little bit of work as a church family, and you can just have a listen to what people say and see how that helps you think about the name. I know we emotionally, lots of us feel very connected to the name, and we know it's not the name that we're connected to, it is the church family. We are church family together. And actually the name is a means, it's a vehicle by which we connect with the wider world. I feel like it's one of the first things people come into contact with when they think about our church family. So there's some homework for you. And if you have any questions on that, please do get in touch. Week on Friday, there's 3 questions. First question, a reminder, have you heard of Surrey Chapel? Second, what does the name make you think of? Third question, in your head, roughly what age bracket they are. Send it in, and that'll help us as we kind of make plans going forward. So there it is. That's the news. Keep going. God bless. Bye for now.